Alright, everyone, we got a little bit of a long mission. We literally have to go from one side of the rail yard to the other side. Welcome back, everyone, to the Maryland and Western Pacific Railroad and Train Simulator Pro USA. But the first things first is that I want to buy another PC-44 unit. PS-44, sorry. That'll take away most of my money. Use all these locomotives. And then let's start building our train. Okay. Use all these. Use the rest of these. How many can I use? 8. So we'll use 4. And then we'll use the rest of these. And then one of these. What is 15 plus 17? Hold on. I'm doing math here. Okay, so that right there is 27 plus 5. 28, 29, 30, 31. 32 cars plus 4 locomotives. That's about half a mile long train, I think. Turn on my cab lights. Couple up. Right, next up, we're going to connect the empty, or not the empties, the loaded. This is MNWP C58, a loaded coal train, probably bound for Tacoma. So I got that something on my screen. Whoa, 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 whoa. So this is one of our wood yards that we normally keep all of our wood here, and then we transport them by rail or by truck to the wood factories. but mostly by rail. Because one, we're reliable and always on time, never ever late. And we are a Class 2 railroad. Maybe eventually, when the update comes out, we might get expanded to being a Class 1 railroad. Alright, now let me jump up to the head end. Maryland and Western Pacific 8113, you are cleared to take ahead to Joseph Wood Factory. This just says pure mammoth power right here. And I just got word that 2 RC-44s are getting ready to lead a petrol train from Tacoma Oil Terminal to the Vancouver Wood Train Yard. So that's good. 2 of our RC-44s are being used. And those 2 E-38 units are currently running things in Oregon right now, hauling mammoth mixed trains through the Devil's Curve and all that stuff. And our GP7s, we have them scattered out everywhere. We currently have one in Spokane, one in the Eugene Power Plant, one in Salem, and one in the Beijing Power Plant working. So we have our GP7s here, there, and everywhere. And the other 2 RC-44s are actually parked in Vancouver, Canada, far north of our line. Because I think, do not quote me on this, but I think everything past Seattle all the way here and at the end of Kenwick to here is all Canada stuff. Because Ontario's right there, and Joseph, I think that's Canadian stuff as well. But I think here up until Kenwick is all Canada stuff. So that means, so I think, you know, we got trackage rights in Canada. I'm only guessing on that. I'm not saying for sure. And then everything down from Portland to here, these 2 tracks are Oregon. Now, I was only guessing on that, so don't quote me on that, because I could be wrong entirely. Alright, we're applying some brakes so we can slow down for that 15. And this is one of the few crossings that are actually a quiet zone on our railroad. And I just realized that this That one signal doesn't look to be properly aligned with the track. Oh well. I guess it kind of makes sense for passenger trains, and I realize I'm going too slow and I need to speed up. I'm hoping whenever the game gets another update, I don't know when that will be, we get we get to have a bell on the locomotives, and we have the opportunity to like flip the locomotives around so they're not always elephant style. And we get to have more than 4 locomotives too, to haul longer, heavier trains. But the more longer and heavier trains, the more profit we are making. Even though we're carrying some empties to the wood factory, the empties are going to get loaded at the wood factory too. So the empties become loaded and the loaded becomes empties. And for some reason there's an airfield flag. There's clearly not an airport around here. Interesting. Maybe it's a crop duster flag? Let's go with that. After all, I'm a railroad person, not a engineer. Or not. Gosh, Louisville World Fan Productions, you cannot use your words tonight, can you? I'm a railroad person, not an airplane person. There I go. Let me actually go inside my cabin, take a look at the map. Okay, we're roughly 50 miles away from Olympia. Okay. Here's a GP9. Probably doing a local run, taking empty coal hoppers out of Olympia and storing them in Seattle or Tacoma. The GP9s only do local runs, and the GP7s do yard switching and sometimes local runs. Both are high hoods, two different class of locomotive. Is that even the right term? But anyways, to sort it out, those red high hoods are the GP9s, and the blue ones are the GP7s. Looks like we got another GP9 with loaded grain hoppers for Tacoma. The GP9s handle most of the local work, like L378, L3928, etc. And all the other locomotives like the RC44 and the E38s, and obviously the PS44s handle the long distance trains. And sometimes the GP7s haul trains or run light to another yard, but 9 times out of 10, to get from one yard to another, they run light powered, unless there's a car or two that needs to be brought over to their next destination. Like say, for our GP7 that's working in Beijing, there's some tanker cars that need to go to the Vancouver chemical plant. They will pick those up from the Beijing power plants that they're being on the storage track. To the right here, you see where it curves and then it just stops before the other two tracks. It'll pick those up and run all the way to Vancouver, and then when it does its work in Vancouver, it'll drop them off in the Vancouver chemical factory and then get to work in the Vancouver train yard and food factory. And then we're at Go Track Express 89. Olympia train yard is actually kind of full. And for those of you who are wondering, yes, this is technically the main that I'm by on my right hand side where these boxcars are stored, but it's also technically a part of the store of the Olympia yard too. It's a little bit complicated, but as long as it's not, a dire emergency, then we can store freight cars on that track. And like I said, we run our trains very on time and on schedule, so there's really no need for trains to wait. To have them and need to pass each other. And after we basically cleared the yard, we are now switching back over to the right hand side, so that way trains on the track that we were currently on can now pass through Olympia yard without having to wait for us. Here goes another express train. This part of the main line I like to call the River Valley, because we follow and parallel the river for quite some time. And we also parallel and follow Olympia Highway. I wouldn't call it a highway, more like a state route, but that's what they call it. I'm just keeping it nice and relaxed on the throttle because I personally never hauled in this many cars before. But I think the longest we've hauled in the Maryland and Western Pacific was like 116 cars from, I believe it was all the way down here at the end of the line at Klamath Falls all the way up to Spokane Yard. I think that's like the longest we've ever hauled. I could be wrong on that. But we definitely hauling like 116 car trains for with the RC-44s and the E-38 units when I was obviously on vacation. And you notice how this freight train is a little close to that passenger train? That's because this freight train is actually bound for Olympia power plant, or not power plant, the Olympia train yard, where it's going to drop off those boxcars and pick up the ones in Olympia and take them somewhere. Same thing with this one. And I was so distracted by the other train that I didn't even realize the speed change. But thankfully, I didn't get penalized. But we're going to keep the train idle and at nice cruising speed because we're approaching a train yard and a station, Yakima. Apply some dynamic brakes. Apply a little more. Full dynamic braking on. And release the dynamics. I'll probably have the two RC-44s come pick up this train, because those hopper cars are full of sand, normally meaning they're the buffer cars. We don't normally require buffer cars on our railroad since we're such a safe railroad, but we'd like to have them just in case. RC-44s in Vancouver, do you copy? RC-44 8351, please head to Yakima train yard to pick up the two buffer cars and tanker cars, and please bring them to Portland train yard. Over. Alright, thank you very much. 8135 out. And like I said, I own the Maryland and Western Pacific Railway. So the RC-44s are going to run light power all the way from Vancouver. I expect them to not go the super long route. I expect them just to pull out of Vancouver, go pass through the power plant, pass by the power plant, the wood factory, and the food factory, and wait at the end of the siding near Kenwick for us. But I think we'll probably beat them before they arrive at Kenwick. There's another express train. Man, we sure are running a lot of express and not locals. Sun's beginning to set. We'll probably arrive at the Joseph Wood Factory at night. Slow down from 35. right here is the big old one of our Vancouver, or not Vancouver, our vehicle factories, but unfortunately it's still being built, so we just have tracks there that are for storage right now until we have use for it. Because right now all the vehicles that are being shipped out by truck at a different facility, and basically this one's still closed because it's being built, but once it's built, trucks and trains will be hauling them out of there. I honestly think, is there even another vehicle factory anywhere on our map that our tracks lead? Scrapyard, container port. No. Huh. So it looks like Kenwick is the only one that has a vehicle factory for us until it actually opens. They're all getting their cars from somewhere else, away from our railroad. But once it actually does open, we'll really be making more cash, like a lot of cash, because that could help us out a lot. Up we go back to 35 miles per. A lot of this track on this side of the railroad on the Maryland and Western Pacific is single track with some passing sidings. I cannot talk, jeez. And to my left is Kenwick Highway. Normally we're hauling long trains out of this side of the tracks, not bringing them in. Because normally all the inbound trains to here are locals, not mammoth long trains. Because the locals, L234 and L324, make a stop at every one of these yards. And really the only passenger train we get is an express that stops at Ontario, turns around on the Y, pulls back into Ontario, and then pulls out of there to Kenwick. And then obviously it dead ends to Joseph Wood Factory, which is double track for passing sidings. And then there's the dead end track that just goes to the middle of nowhere, that's used for storage when the yard is full. But once we arrive, these PS44s will be living in the Joseph Wood Factory for a while, and then the GP7, 2 of them, I don't know when, will come by and help split them up so that way they can return to Kenwick Train Yard, Longhood forward. Looks like it wants to rain, so hopefully we get this cargo delivered before it rains. I actually think we'll arrive at the yard before nightfall. And here's the double track siding for this part. As you can tell, the local is now making its return. So that's the GP9 that runs the local trains. And it's going to be making some stops. Hold on, wrong thing. Making some stops at the Kenwick Wood Factory, Electronic Factory, and the oil terminal. And then it's going to probably do some switching between the train yard and the vehicle factory. And then, I don't know what's it going to do. But that was L324. L234 is the counterpart. L234 runs the way that we're currently going, and L324 runs the opposite way. And here's our express train leaving Ontario. It's falling right behind the local. And sometimes there is a counterpart to L324 and U234, and it's known as X234 or X324. Oh, and look at that, there's a local behind the express. A little bit unusual because normally this line only gets like one passenger train a day. I guess it got two. Oh geez, look at that. I'll have to contact maintenance away to fix that. Thankfully the local didn't stop there, otherwise that would have been a disaster. been ages since I've been along this route, so I don't exactly remember the way to go, so I'm going to follow what the game tells me to. Huh, would you look at that? There is an extra. X324 right there. There must be a lot of freight then. That was a Dash 8 unit. Dash 8 units normally haul medium to short-sized freight trains anywhere from 20 to 48 cars long. So if they're helping out the local today, they're not normally, because it's not common to see them on these tracks. It's actually very rare. Now this train here, however, is F48, which we actually had stored in the Joseph Wood factory for a reason, because the Kenwick food factory is full, but it's getting cleared out today, so he's getting permission to take his empties into the food factory. Turn on my headlights. It's getting dark. And here we are at the wood factory. All these are bound to get loaded on the empties, and the loads in my train are coming in here and getting ready to be shipped out by truck. But it's currently shut down for the night. They already left and gone. Oh well. But the sunset's very beautiful. Just look at it hitting the locomotives. And to a stop, we come to. Alright. Almost an hour long. Let's see. Any new tasks or achievements I unlocked? Driving? No. I think the achievements are bugged for the final one. For 5 stars. I honestly believe that they're bugged. Because I use my wipers a lot of times during the rainy weather, and it never counted, so What do I know? But anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode on Train Simulator Pro USA. And I'll see you all in the next one, and have a good night.